Hey guys, I'm here in India right now, walking around a clothing bazaar, and I just wanted to make a quick video about your first 24 hours and some of the mistakes that you can avoid to save money and a lot of the problems with scammers here in India. One thing I highly recommend is that you book your hotel in advance. So if you do have to spend a night in Delhi or wherever else, for instance, you're not running around for up to 14 hours waiting for your SIM card to activate. Because if you don't have access to internet, there isn't Wi-Fi as easily accessible everywhere like in other countries, even in Southeast Asia, which you may be used to like I am. Another thing I'd recommend is downloading the Uber app and the Ola application. You'll find out really quick, everybody will offer you like 100 rupees to go like a kilometer, which may seem cheap to you, but in actuality, you can end up going maybe like 10 kilometers in a car using Uber for like 200 rupees, or like 50 rupees to go 5 kilometers on a motorbike using the Ola app. So those are a couple pieces of information I can share with you that caused me a lot of problems. The biggest issue was when I arrived, my SIM card ended up taking 14 hours before I activated. And so that ended up leading to me having to ask taxis to drive me around to look for things. I ended up spending a lot more money than I should have. I also wasn't able to research anything at that point. I arrived a little late in the evening. It was after 10 o'clock. I ended up taking the last metro to the railway station at 11. At that point, there weren't any restaurants or hotels open. I ended up getting stuck with some sketchy DTTC department where they bring you to buy a railway ticket and then they lie to you and say that all the buses and trains are full because you don't have a SIM card that can look up the Red Bus app and just pick a frickin' bus and schedule one for yourself. So anyways, just book your hotels in advance, book all your buses and trains in advance, and plan on not having your SIM card work for up to 10 to 14 hours when you arrive, unless you can get a local to help you out by setting it up for you, which apparently can take 10 minutes if they call and activate it for you. I don't know why the booth that you're paying a lot of money for doesn't do it for you, but if they do the normal way, it takes about 10 to 14 hours. And that's about it. If I can think of any other tips about India to avoid, then those are the top things that I would point out that were the biggest problems for me when I arrived in India. So I definitely wanted to share those tips for people to avoid having the same problems I did, because they're mostly related to being lied to. Everybody's going to lie to you and tell you that, oh, you can't go there, it's closed, you're going to have to go here. I've read a lot about people having even much worse stories where they get the run around, they get driven around saying that their hotel is closed, they don't have room anymore, there's construction, there's terrorists locking up the streets with the police and all this crazy stories. So don't be surprised at what you hear. Don't accept what anybody says. If you can try and find yourself a trustworthy host, which apparently turned out to be pretty sketchy here too. I had a pretty bad hosting experience from couchsurfing, which is actually really rare. It's unfortunate, but be very careful here in India. But for the most part, most of the people are really good. But if you take care of those things and follow my tips, and especially if you can get a local to help you out, then you're going to be paying less, you're going to have a lot less headaches, and it's going to be a much more enjoyable trip for you. So those are my tips to avoid for the scammers and things to look out for in India, and some of the things you could do to make your trip a lot easier, more convenient, and problem-free.